yeah. Love, respect, unselfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes to WUB. And all the things that will be happen like our blue skies. I love it make people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WUB. Get up, make every day count. Don't waste it, people. Do your part, play a role, get where you need to. You can tune in for work or in your vehicle. If you got a problem, pick up the phone. Why wait till the time calling? It's a show with no matter even if you're at home. Just call in. WUB. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WUB. Be yourself, see yourself. This is a show, my people. Belize our hope, so to needless reason. Your body feel left out is the vibe we're dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah. Love, respect, unselfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes. WUB. And all the things that will be happen like our blue skies. I love it make people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WUB.
All right, welcome. This is WUB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. It's a Thursday. It's the 6th day of February, the second month in the year 2025. And we welcome you to the program this morning. Exciting program, of course. We try to make sure that we live up to that standard that it is the premier conversation every morning here in Belize and, in fact, with our internet people abroad. We welcome you. You know that we go through certain steps. We give you a look at the news, and before that, we give you an update on the weather. We have today Tariq Matthews as our forecaster. We go to Tariq, and then we'll bring you our news package for this morning.
Belize, generally fair weather conditions prevail. The 24-hour forecast: sunny skies with cloudy spells today and partly cloudy to cloudy skies tonight. Showers will be generally isolated, with a few more mainly over central areas this afternoon and mostly over the south late tonight. The maximum temperatures for today will reach 84 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 86 inland and 73 up in the hills. The low temperatures for tonight will be around 76 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 69 inland and 65 up in the hills. The winds will be from the east at 10 to 15 knots and the sea conditions will be moderate. A low tide will occur this morning at 9:40, a high tide this evening at 4:12, another low tide just after midnight at 12:28, and another high tide tomorrow morning at 7:08. The sun will rise this morning at 6:23 and will set this evening at 5:50. The moon will rise this afternoon at 12:25 and will set early tomorrow morning at 2:10. In the sargassum forecast, impacts from sargassum are expected to remain minimal, at least for the next few days. Then, an increase in sargassum is likely towards the end of the month. The outlook for Friday and Friday night: partly cloudy to cloudy skies. Showers will be generally isolated, with a few more mostly over the south. For a review of our forecast and other products, please visit our website at nms.gov.bz. With that, we end this morning's forecast from the Belize National Met Service.
The first private radio in Belize since 1989, Creme FM presents the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports. And now, the news. The first private radio in Belize since 1989, Creme FM presents the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports. And now, the news. The first private radio in Belize since 1989, Creme FM presents the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news and sports. And now, the news.
Anand Lokan Ram Logan is a former Trinidadian Attorney General who practices in Trinidad and England and who has now been called to the bar in Belize. He's the founder of Freedom Law Chambers in Trinidad and has taken up the case to challenge the constitutionality of the next general elections in Belize without a redistricting exercise. He will be representing claimants Jerry Enriquez, Rudolph Norales, as well as Jessica Tulsi. On February the 4th, he wrote a pre-action protocol letter addressed to the Attorney General, the Speaker of the House, and the Chairman of the Elections and Boundaries Commission. The letter has the responsibility to present recommendations for the redistricting to the National Assembly. This constitutional claim would be separate from the case brought by the Belize Peace Movement, BPM, which is challenging the constitutionality of the Schedule 1 of the Representation of the People's Act, which outlines the boundaries of the different electoral divisions. Ram Logan writes of the claimant that as registered voters concerned with the rule of law, quote, the claim concerns the anticipated breach of their constitutional rights that will occur if general elections are called and held on the basis of the existing electoral district boundaries, end of quote. Ram Logan affirms that before any general election can be called, the state needs to enact the protocols submitted by the Commission, quote, regarding the new redefined electoral boundaries for the electoral districts subsequent upon the consent order that was made by the High Court in action number 55 of 2019, end of quote. He notes that despite its majority in the House, the government has not ensured that Parliament debates and passes the bill. He notes here that the bill remains in committee and has not been brought back to debate, and further that leaders of both parties have expressed concern with the bill and rejected it as a result. However, that has not been crystallized in any formal vote of the House of Representatives, and government officials have indicated that they have run out of time for a redistricting exercise. 32-year-old fisherman Vidal Oriano is the father of 6-year-old Gabriel Pablo Oriano, who, according to a post-mortem examination, drowned after getting away from the Stella Maris school on Monday. Surveillance footage that the family gathered from different establishments along the way showed him running along Freetown Road into Kelly Street, then to Wilson Street, and along Princess Margaret Drive until he ended up at the location known as the hangar, where he jumped into the water. Some people made attempts to stop him, but others merely drove on, walked past, or cycled forward. Education called the senior Oriano to a meeting yesterday, but he says school have not given him all weeks, telling him they have forwarded the information to the police. In particular, Oriano is trying to establish how his son managed to escape from the school he had been attending for 2 years. He also feels the community failed his son.
The people told me they saw my son went out from the gate from 12 o'clock. He was missing. He came out.
Is it possible that he might have climbed the fence?
He cannot climb that fence because that fence, if you will go at the school and watch the fence, it has a lot of barbed wires at the top. I heard he was at Palote one amount of time there, playing, I think, and no one did nothing for him. They didn't grab him or say to take him up across or call. Nothing. And then I hear he was walking all the way around by Lychee, by Electronics, Wilson Street. Yes, I understand people call and so, everything, but I would appreciate them grab him. If they may hold him, make him cry, hold him, and just hold him. If they may even tie him up and call the police, I would have glad. Then they will have to put on for rest.
What has happened since then in terms of an investigation?
For right now, I don't know anything because the school haven't told me nothing as yet. They haven't answered no question from me as yet. But I'm waiting because I want to know who was at the gate, who was supposed to be at the gate at that hour, and why the gate was left open without no one there. I don't really want no one to suffer for it or anything, but I just want justice for my little boy. That's all I want, justice, because his life can't go just like that. Because he was a good boy, he was full of life, he was loving everything, but my boy went missing under the eyes of them, and they let me down. Maybe I thought he was running, and then got lost, trying to find his way back, but how is he special? He don't really know it. Because my son is a person that if he don't recognize your face, he won't let you touch him. He will fight because he's afraid, right? The last time I saw him, when I left him in the morning, 8:30 at school, when I kissed him, I hugged him, I told him, baby, I'm going. I have to go work. We're going to come look for you at 2 o'clock. I have to go work because your birthday they come. 25th of February was his birthday. I told him I want to try to do a party. I want to try to do something for you. Just take care. And I left her. I didn't get a call. My brother came for me. I was about to go to see. And he told me I have to go because something happened to my son. But I didn't expect that. I expect him, maybe how he likes to play, climb. I was expecting maybe he broke his hand, maybe he broke his foot, maybe he bust his head, or something happened. But I never expect him to find him dead. He doesn't go nowhere without me. Once I'm here, he will go with me, will go to me at the shop, go to me at town, go to me everywhere with bed. He will not go use bathroom if I don't go with him. He will go everywhere with me. He will stay everywhere with me. He sleep with me. Everything.
Yesterday, the Minister of Education held meetings with Gabriel's parents and committed that the ministry will assist with the financial costs of his burial. We caught up with him after he met with the father, Vidal Oriano.
Had a very good meeting with the father and his mother, and we discussed those issues. You're absolutely right, and I told him he has absolutely every right to want answers to those questions. You know, as a father myself, I can only imagine, you know, the pain that he is suffering as a result of this loss. So we want answers to those questions. I want answers to those questions. I am demanding answers to those questions because we have a special duty of care for these children who attend school here. I've said that over and over to everyone here. So we will get answers to those questions, and I have assured the father that the Belize Police Department, when we conclude, we are working along with them to produce that report. And when that is concluded, they have a sort of interim report, and I think in a few days they'll have a final report. When that is concluded, the first people we will sit down with is the family, and to talk to them and share the report with them and answer any of the questions that they have and concerns that they have. We will not hide anything. We don't want to cover up anything. We will be 100% transparent. And yes, if there are consequences for anyone because of negligence, of a failure to carry out their duties, that will have to be dealt with.
Responding about the pre-action letter sent on behalf of the three claimants, which includes Jerry Enriquez, who are advocating for a redistricting exercise to be held before the general elections are called, the law firm of Courtney Coy LLP has written to Senior Counsel Anand Ram Logan, informing that there is no intention of the Prime Minister to announce a date of the next general election at the House meeting on Friday. At this time, we do not know if anything has changed, but the rumors had been abound are that elections will be held in March. We asked Cabinet Minister Francis Fonseca if he should reconsider the election date, given that the fires they have to put out at this time, including the upset of the stevedores, the teachers, the firefighters, as well as the car dealers.
I don't know about outing all these fires, but yes, our government has, over the last 4 years, we've had a very good, I think, working relationship with all the unions. So we're engaged with the CWU on the port issue with the stevedores. Minister Rekena reported to Cabinet yesterday. So I think there's a track to resolving that matter. In terms of the car dealers, again, I think a decision has already been made to put that on hold. And so that is being worked out. So I think with the firefighters, again, the minister responsible for the fire service reported to Cabinet again what engagements are taking place and what is being done. So, yes, every government, that's the work of government. Every day you have some fire you have to be putting out. So, we're absolutely confident that what the people of Belize see in this government is a competent government that is serious about addressing these issues. So when they arise, we address them in a very clear, decisive way. We dialogue, we do so respectfully. And I think that's what's important. And I think whenever elections are called, the Belizean people will recognize that, appreciate that, and reward us for the manner in which we conduct ourselves in government in terms of addressing all of these issues.
Do you concede, though, that your colleague, Minister Andrew Perez, was very insensitive in his remarks, given that cost of living is sky high, going up, all of that, whereas salaries for ministers really cannot compare to what firefighters and the lowest paid public officers are getting? And also, how it's the first time we're hearing anything about allowances for firefighters, and that being an issue when you have a government that has been saying this economy boom. What's wrong?
Yeah, well, I didn't hear what Minister Perez said, so I can't comment on what he said. But
that they should learn to survive on their base salary and stop relying on these exorbitant allowances.
yeah, well, I didn't hear what he said. All I would say is that our government, and I can tell you this because we've discussed it in cabinet, our government recognizes the critical importance of the fire service, of the National Fire Service, critical. And we understand that the firemen and women, the fire officers who work there, are putting themselves at risk. It's a very difficult and challenging job. So, I'm absolutely confident that it will be resolved, and that, I think it's something we certainly can look at, I think, in the new budget to see how we can address the issue of compensation for firefighters. Very, very important service.
United States President Donald Trump has been moving pretty fast in terms of significant and impactful decisions taken since coming into office. We asked Foreign Minister Francis Fonseca if the Bresenio cabinet is concerned about a potential impact on Belize.
I mean, we're always keeping aware of everything that's happening internationally, and with any new administration in the United States, obviously we pay close attention to that. That new administration will come in with new policies, and we always have to be reviewing those policies to determine how they will impact our national development. But we are absolutely confident that we will have a good working relationship with the new administration. I had a meeting in my capacity as Minister of Foreign Affairs with the new Charge d'Affaires on Monday in Belmopan, and we discussed our mutual interests. So we have a lot of shared interests, and the partnership and relationship we have with the United States is one of our most important relationships, trade and otherwise. So we are absolutely confident that we will continue to enjoy a good, positive, productive relationship with the United States of America.
Do you consider that we can face backlash for the action against Israel in relation to Palestine, as it appears South Africa is facing?
Yeah, I think, listen, Belize has always, in terms of our foreign policy, adopted a very principled position, and I think that has been respected by countries across the world, including the United States of America. So, I don't expect that there will be any negative impact from our decisions. We, as a country that's faced with a claim, we have always, made sure that we have our voices heard on issues of self-determination. That's critical in terms of our own legal position. So I think certainly the United States and other countries understand that, they appreciate that, they respect that. We're not anti-Israel, we're not anti-anybody, but we are pro-self-determination.
We also asked if the government of Belize has received an official figure of how many Belizean immigrants, or migrants I should say, who are living illegally in the United States that are on the radar of ICE.
Obviously, we have made it very clear that we will accept all Belizean citizens who are sent back. They are our people, our citizens, so we have a duty and obligation to accept them. The issue of, non-citizens of Belize, that's a hypothetical. No such request has been made of Belize. If and when such a request is made, that will be a matter for the cabinet to decide.
You didn't get a figure from the charge on how many Belizeans they are looking to send back?
Yeah, no specific figure, but we know based on reports that we have received that they have about 96 Belizeans in custody. That those are people who have been arrested by ICE. No, they have been in custody. ICE, 96 in custody. And then, of course, there are about 891 Belizeans who are what they call non-detainees, who are people who have been given orders of removal, but did not show up back at court or that type of thing. So they are somewhere they don't have them in custody, but they are somewhere out in the United States. The people that they are actively looking for.
Should you confirm that figure? Because we saw that in a list that's yet unconfirmed, according to us.
Yeah, that's why I said. That's why I said he did not confirm any figures. I'm just saying to you that that's the report that we received. Those are numbers. It's credible. It's credible. But we, again, they are going through their process of determining exactly how accurate those numbers are. And so we keep in touch with them and engage on them. And Belize is fully committed to working with the United States government on bringing back our Belizean nationals to Belize safely and in a dignified manner.
It's our news package for this morning, the 6th day of February 2025. There's more news coming up after the program that follows us, which is the Morning Stew. There's an update at 12. There's also one at 3. All this on Creme Radio. A full broadcast of the news also on Creme Radio at 5:15. Here on XTV, we bring you the entire news of the day with optics and all at 6 o'clock this evening. It's now 2 minutes to 7 o'clock. A short break and we'll come back and begin our conversation. Actually, we have 2 attorneys that will be joining us today looking at different aspects of what is affecting us as Belizeans. Please stay tuned.
The first private radio in Belize since 1989. The news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news. Weather
right, welcome back. This is WUB, Wake Up Belize, Morning Vibes. It's a Thursday morning, and we have two important guests that will be with us this morning. We will be speaking to attorney and professor of law, Miss Sharon Williams. She's in California. She has been with us a couple of times talking about immigration issues. And immigration issues full-blown now that Mr. Trump is in. And so we'll be talking to her on the impact of these things on Belizeans and other immigrants in the United States. As soon as we could get her on, we're connecting her now on the Zoom. But before we get into the main conversation this morning, we want to extend our condolences to the Baptist family for the tragic death of Brandon Baptist. Brandon was a leader in his own right, and it is unfortunate that he lost his life at such a young age. And I say anything under 40 is certainly a young person to me. We have worked with Brandon. In fact, we a few years ago produced an infomercial, you may call it, where he and another young man, Charles Young, in the same neighborhood had gotten together and had school bags and other school materials for young children. And that was an attempt at that point to not only bring them together, they were from rival groups, but also to present to the community that they were making an effort to try to turn it around and certainly turn the reputation of those street soldiers around. Rather than them being in the news for death, they wanted to be in the news for something progressive and life-giving. And so Creme TV at the time assisted in producing this 20 or 30-minute infomercial where we spoke to both Brandon and Charles Young and others in the neighborhood and tried to highlight that they were making a change. So we deal with this kind of situation, and we've been dealing with it for so many years, where in the process of what we do, one of these young men are killed senselessly, because it's always senseless. You know, we're not fighting for the cause of Belize or for the cause of our rights of Belizeans, etc., etc. It's always this very ugly scenario of a brother killing a brother. And I'm not getting into the details of what it is or what caused it. It's just the fact that we are, in those circumstances, losing young, healthy, vibrant, in another genre, leader, you know, attorney at law, politician, you know, engineer, many of these other courses that our young men can take instead of this death trap that so many of them are not living even beyond their 40. In fact, it's gone way, way down, that many of our young boys are not even living beyond 21, 22 years old. So it's something that we have to continue to work on, and not just those who are caregivers and direct influencers in that area, but generally the society has to open itself and allow these men and some young women to reform and to be given a second chance. All right, do we have the attorney set up yet? We're trying to get her on the Zoom, and she is in California, and California is 2 hours behind Belize, and so she's, you know, just getting ready for her drive to the university where she works. But she said she would take some time out because she knows how important it is for Belizeans to know what's going on. We're pretty much just getting information second hand, third hand. We're getting it from social media. There was something that came out that suggested that it was from ICE. I have not heard government acknowledge that that is in fact a true number of 800 Belizeans that might be returned to Belize because they're on this radar of the ICE. So we will see exactly what happens. We do know that the major move at this time seems to be around our Central American brothers and sisters, mestizos, Mexicans, Salvadoranians, Honduranians, Venezuelans, etc., etc. But for sure, we in the Caribbean will be experiencing this. Caller, please understand that we're waiting for our guests, so we will take your call because you're calling in, but please make your comments brief. Welcome, caller.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Recently, Florida passed a law that no undocumented migrants will be able to do money transfer to Jamaica, to the Caribbean, mainly Jamaica. I am wondering if Belize is included. Only Florida so far. The long arm of Trump is moving more and more to us. And I'm wondering if Aria is listening, if she could please clarify if Belize is also included.
All right. I'm
What
sure.
I suspect that will do is to create a black market for the people that are illegal to charge a fee and still do the transfer. Thank you.
All right, caller, thank you very much. That's worth checking. Aria, I'm sure she's listening. If you can sometime during this program today or tomorrow, give us a call and find out if such a decree has been put in there in the state of Florida. What he's saying is that Florida is now forbidding Jamaicans, he called them, I'm not sure if it's the rest of the region, but Jamaicans from sending remittances back to Jamaica. Doesn't sound legal to me, and he's suggesting that is that going to also be affecting Belizeans? If it's true, is it also going to affect Belizeans? And then he's also suggesting a kind of a black market can be created where you say to Mr. John Brong in Belize City, who has money under the bed, that you have received money from your relative over here, the cash of the equivalent, and then they call and say, give John Brong sister $500 US, and then they can then in turn give the $1,000, and then that person collects the $500 in the US, and then they could do a thing like that, which is totally illegal in terms of how they have these laws set up that you're not supposed to transfer money without the authority to transfer it, especially if the money is at a certain high denomination. So we don't know, but it doesn't sound legal to me that one state can reject your sending money overseas, because it doesn't necessarily have to be remittance. You could be sending money for business, and are they then trying to stop business from operating? I don't know. But if someone with authority and knowledge can share what is happening in Florida, then we'd have a better idea. Our number here is 280-5848 as we wait for this Zoom connection. We wanted to talk about this idea, the immigration, because as you see even in our news today, the foreign minister of Belize is being asked repeatedly, what's the status, what's the situation? We hear of things going on around us. For example, that a plane load of Guatemalan migrants have been sent back to Guatemala and that the Guatemalan government welcomed them in. The same thing has taken place in Venezuela. And the plan is to continue to raid these areas where migrants are supposedly working or just hanging out, and they will send back these people. And it could very well be a situation where they were prohibited under the Biden and Obama administration from going into places like schools and hospitals and churches and other centers that were set up for migrants in the United States. This now executive order from the president gives the ICE the right to go into churches, to go into schools, to go into these places where people seek refuge and arrest and detain and send these people back. One of the things I want to check with the attorney today is when they are doing these crowd move, like you see sometimes the images of 100 people, are these people being walked to the border and put across, or are they being given their due rights, which is a part of the American system, that you must have your due rights. If they're deporting you, they must still send you through a process of deportation, which would suggest that they would not simply pick you up at the border or pick you up in some part of the United States and take you across the border. They have to take you to some detention center, and then they process you there for deportation, because deportation is an entire process. It's not just taking people and putting them across the border. So what we want to find out from the attorney, has this changed? Are they in fact rounding up people and putting them across the border, which seems to be a public relations strategy on the part of Mr. Trump and his handlers, that look, people are clamoring to see what we're doing, so let's put out all these photographs and give people the impression that, yeah, see, the president is just picking them up by the truckloads and just putting them across the border or putting them on planes and sending them back to where they belong. Is that what is going on, or are these people already in a detention center and are processing through the detention center? And so when we see these upticks of people being marched by the ICE, is it that they're being put across, or are they just walking to the detention center? That needs to be clarified. Why? Because the images coming out of the United States, and you continue to hear Nazi Germany. Because in our history of the last 100 years, that's what stands out, is the way in which the German government created a system of government. They call it fascism, but whatever was called, it was a system that identified certain people that they felt was damaging their economy, that they were, they were just too smart, they worked too closely together. There were a lot of reasons why they built up this hatred towards the Jew that ultimately ended up with this extermination plan. And the extermination plan was not just concentration camp, but it was a systematic programming to eliminate and to control this group of people. Now, the interesting thing about it is that there's a book called Caste. And if you get a chance to read that or review that book, in fact, they've made it into a movie, Caste. It was looking at the caste system in India, where they developed over a long period, 200 or 300 or 400 years, a system where they had an other in their society, an other. And when you have an other, that means that everybody is looking at that other, meaning that they're not like us. They are different than us. In the case of India, the caste system created a class of people that were referred to as untouchables. The word for them was Dalit. These are Dalit people. Well, this Dalit people were very black-skinned Indian, and they were considered a group that nobody interacts with. So that group was in a permanent state of undevelopment. And so they clean the sewage, they clean the drains, they hang around with the market, they were prohibited from being educated, they were locked out of schools, they were basically just the scum of the society. And they were treated as that by people who were educated, people who were knowledgeable, people who live with the sense that those people are not like us. Those people are, we got to watch them because they might be trying to infiltrate, they might be trying to get with our daughters and impregnate our daughters and put their filthy germ into our clean class. And so this caste was researched by this author, and she wrote a book, and then later on a movie came and spoke about it. I'm sure you could go on these movie platforms and find this movie called Caste. But the point I'm making is that when this author went to do the research in India, she found out that the Germans had used the same concept of the other and the caste in order to deal with the Jews. And further than that, they found out that when the Germans were sitting around and planning, and these are documents that she researched and she was able to verify, they were looking at the caste system in the United States, because the enslavement of black people in the United States created a caste system where these persons were considered degenerate. They were not supposed to be in the society of civilized people. And it created a mindset in the American public that justified that these people, because they were other, they shouldn't be in schools with us. They shouldn't be around us. They shouldn't even come in the same area where we are. They need to come through a special door. And if they do come through that door, if they're not qualified, they still cannot come in here. They got to stay out in the yard. They got to stay in the back. And they created and justified this system, and this system lasts for a very long time in the United States. Yes, welcome, caller.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Nuri.
Wa alaikum assalam, sir.
I just want to put before the 2 cents count my 2 cents in regards to the beautiful topic.
Okay.
This is Ramadan. I think that system in India still exists.
Yes, it does.
Because I have met a lot of Indian nationals in Belize and those beautiful, fully black, skin Indian. And confidentially, I discussed a couple of my learnings from them because I've been reading a lot of history in my young days up to now. Even though I use artificial intelligence, but I was always interested in reading history and knowing what's going on around me, beyond borders. So they tell me that they are being brought to Belize to work in the same system. They come here only as servants. They don't have no privileges. They come to work, and that's it. And they have to be locked up in a house. And the only moment they're out when they're working.
Yeah.
No.
Nowadays, Ramadan, nowadays they call that human trafficking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but
these
see,
people,
I wonder.
Yeah.
You see what they say in Belize or maybe around the world. is not what you know, but who you know. Because we keep talking about immigration and trafficking of human and all kind of thing, yet I know it's a lot of people in this country living under the same circumstances. A lot of people, especially Indian nationals. I spoke to some of them, they tell me they want to go, but they can't go because their documents are withheld and so I said, boy, if for me, I left that gone a long time. I mean, no safe, no passport. Left that and go for your business. No. In the event of the Belizean immigrant and the Central American immigrant by Nuri, I believe for the past 2 decades or more, this deportation has been taking place for more than 2 decades. Around Obama time, around Bush time, it's been taking place. And I believe is the new agenda, the agenda of the new world order. Because if you notice one thing, this is just my thought. Nobody has to accept it, but it's my thought. How comes in Central America and the Caribbean, including Belize, you have so many students graduating to unemployment? They can't find no work except a call center. And that's not only Belize, throughout Central America. I have a lot of information from people that I know around Central America. The only job they find out of graduation is a call center. And the countries that they say, oh yeah, we welcome them, Guatemala is one, oh, Ecuador, Colombia, we welcome them, and they have everything ready for them. The only thing they have for them is a call center. So to me, it's a plan, like Mutabaruka said, it's a plan, it's a plan, it's a plan for the agenda. The old world order is the new world order.
All right, yeah, we still have to deal with this matter called credit. But you are making some important points there, Brother Ramadan. Indeed, there are people who are brought into this country, and you're right, especially from India and these areas, where they are considered indentured laborer. Let's go back to a word we used to use many years ago to describe our East Indian brothers and sisters that were brought here over 100 years ago, were considered indentured laborers, which was a category a little bit below a slave. And with the sense of the slave, they considered you property. In the sense of the indentured labor, they considered your labor property. And so they could work you as long as they want, as long as they compensate you, not fairly, but you were compensated as an indentured laborer. So these persons that come in, first thing they do, they take their passport. And they hold their passport, which is illegal. Your passport is your actual document that nobody except you should have. It's like your social security card. But these people are part of the condition of getting out of the squalor of poverty that they're in their local area. When they come here, it's like, I just have to suffer my conditions. I just have to give up my passport. But if I put in the work of a year, 2 years, many times it's more than that, clean house, clean picnic, clean this, clean garbage, work inside their shop, etc. After 5 years, I could get back my passport. And if I'm really good, he may even give me one leave break to open my own shop. It's been going on for a very long time. It's been going on in Belize for a very long time. And so the Chinese also do that. The Indians, Bangladeshis, Pakistanis, even Arabs, they all do that. They do it because it's a way that they are considering improving that person's livelihood, because you're bringing him out of, or her out of squalor, in a one poverty, impoverished environment where they come from, that even when they come here and they live in a little dark room or a dark hole, they're better than where they came from. That's how the people are thinking. And so I think what this author, I think her name is Williamson or something like around that, when she did that research on the caste, she was not only pointing out to you the caste system that existed then, she was showing you that even when the Germans were dealing with the Jews and when the Southern Americans were dealing with the blacks, they were coming out of that same concept of other. You are not like us. we have justification to treat you differently than we treat others. You're not like us, you know. We are America. You're not America. But I have my passport. No. You're not America. We have challenged the 14th Amendment to show you that you're not an America. So it's a real strange time, but it is able, we can get knowledge to maneuver ourselves through the maze, and that's what we try to do here on WUB. It's now 7:31. We'll take our break and go to 2 Cents Camp.
You're watching WB and this is XTV. I gotta say big up to 4 Point Security and Euphrates Rental. Anytime the rain pour, the wet part, always flood with water. So I want to find out the people in 2 Cents in this area and the business people in, how this affect them. All right? All right. 2 Cents question at there, right?
City Council have to do better on this. City Council have to drain out the infrastructure to the side. I'm in the work with City Council, and we used to do it, but they stop it now.
That's your 2 Cents.
Let them uplift the street.
Me your 2 Cents.
2 Cents question is our last night rain. I look here, so the place wet up. Remember, I have to charge with some job and fix up the areas. So the minister said, fix up the areas, look how you got the areas.
So you're willing for if they have a job?
I'm willing to do a job, but I'm not doing no job, no job for real. Watch out, they picked it up last time, watch it. Water again, it's our last night rain. No man have to get it, you have to fix the country back. Makes sense? That's why 2 Cents come. Let's go.
How you feel about this?
I don't feel good.
You don't feel good? Why?
Because I can't go to school if this happens.
Why? Where you live? Water going at the house?
Well, with the wind in my yard.
Yeah. Like this? And that prevent you from going to school?
Come up and I want to see.
All right. But you still want that water? How the water affect you?
How the water affect me?
Just now. You take a lick to go through there.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. All right. Yo, that's what me say.
Well, I hear the man say they put good drainage, but I don't see really and truly. Like the same thing they happen over and over. I don't see no changes.
That's your 2 Cents?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Affect you, Rasta man.
Huh?
2 Cents by the water, how you affect you?
Why?
Come on. Huh? 2 Cents question there, right? 2 Cents question there. This water affect you?
It affect all of we. You know why? This water come up out of the canal too, and then we when walk through it or ride through it, we don't got our rubber boots, nothing. So it could affect you. And see how you there, bare feet. You understand me, brother? That's not right. If this there, how over you don't got none?
Makes sense.
What do we have to do? The bus was drained for now.
Come left that in the hands of the city engineer.
Yeah, and come to the canal. Look for the canal. How low the tide. Everything may come down in that, brother.
Makes sense.
You understand me? So I don't know, we in a third world country. And so that we stand up for ourselves, we build it to ourselves. You understand? Because if I come to you, I say, brother, make me I go fight for this. You know next black people know how to help we, but make the Chinese or the Spanish come out, you have so much people that come out to help them. And we the black people.
All right. You're watching WB and this is XTV. All right. Big respect to 4 Point Security and Euphrates Rental. And that are the people in 2 Cents and their concern. Van Vernon Street.
Morning Vibes. And we have on the line from California attorney Sharon Williams. She has been on this show before. She's a Belizean by birth, and we've given her resume several times on this show, so we'll skip that because of our issue of time. Welcome, Ms. Sharon.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right, good morning. Let me jump directly in because of the fact that our time is limited with you, and go right into where we are now in terms of the deportation process that has been happening since Mr. Trump came into office. And just as observation, it appears that it is primarily Central American and South Americans that are being gathered up and shipped off in plane loads, and we have not seen any proof of Belizeans or even other people of color in the Caribbean being sent back. Can you comment on that observation, if it's a factual or is it just we are reading it that way?
So far, from what I have seen, people are being sent back from all different places. And so I know there's been planes sent to India, India and Pakistan, but also all over Latin America, and including the Caribbean. So there was a raid last week in New York City where they picked up a bunch of folks from Jamaica. Okay. And so it's not just Latin America, but and this is only the beginning. Apparently there's going to be a very broad net cast, and it's only been going on for the last week. They're going to pick up speed, and it's one of his campaign promises, and he has promised to outdo Joe Biden, and so, and it's one of the things that one of his positions that Americans are behind. A very large percentage of Americans are behind him with that, and so I think he's going to cast a broad net, and like I said, this is only the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm. If a Belizean should be confronted, can you go through what steps they should take if the immigration knock on their door or come to their business or come to their workplace and begin a process of deportation? What are their rights?
Well, everybody has constitutional rights, and so the first thing I want to tell people, right, is whatever I'm telling you here, please don't construe as legal advice. And if you get into any kind of issue, you're going to, especially right now, you're going to need to get a lawyer rather than, try to do things yourself. But to go back to your question, if someone knocks at your door, whether it's at your place of business or your home, there's something called a red card. And if you are in a situation where you think you might get caught up, it's important to contact some nonprofit, some immigration nonprofit, wherever you are, whether it's Immigration Legal Resource Center. That's the URL there is IRLC.org, right? You can get on there and look at what's called a red card, and the red card says if someone comes to your door, you can say, or your place of business, you can say, I do not want to talk to you. You have the right to remain silent, right? So it's important to not speak to them. Do not open your door. You don't have to let them in. I know that things are a little bit different right now, and they're being very aggressive. But the red card says you have constitutional rights. Do not open your door. Do not answer questions without a lawyer. Don't sign anything. So if they give you a paper and say sign it, do not sign it. You are protected by the Constitution, and I know they're trying to, turn the Constitution all upside down, but they have not yet, and you have the right. And then lastly, if you are outside of your house, you can say, I want to get a lawyer. Am I under arrest? Am I free to leave? If you are outside and you're free to leave, leave. and leave quickly and calmly, right? So the number one thing is to not talk to anybody and not signing anything. Get a lawyer, right? And I know that people might think, well, where do I even start to do that? It is important to get prepared now. Get online, look to see where especially nonprofits are in your area. Organizations like Catholic Charities, Canal Alliance, like I said, the Immigration Legal Resource Center, organizations like that. And even if you can afford a lawyer, it's important to start there because they can refer you. You can also look to the state bar of whatever state you're in, and get that information from them. Whatever immigration lawyers are available. But it's super important to not talk to anybody.
No.
And I know that people get into situations like this. They panic, and the first thing they do is they start talking.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really important to not talk because
Don't do that.
Anything you say can be used.
Yeah. Well, naturally, if we're overstaying our time and we know we're in an illegal status, that in itself is a traumatic situation. Fear overtakes us, and so to say not to talk in an authoritarian type of environment like that, the average person will talk because of fear. And what are you saying? Prepare ourselves in the event that happens to know, don't say a word, you have rights?
But that's very, very important to not talk, right? Because you start talking and whatever you're saying, they are recording, right? Because they have body cams. Right. And whatever you say can and will be used. And so it's important to calm down, really important to calm down, right? One of the things I want to tell people, and I'm speaking specifically to Belizeans, if this happens to you, where you get picked up, and there are different levels, right, of deportation. There is detention, and there is actual removal. If you are detained, you have a chance to figure your situation out. You can call people and so on. But if you are actually physically deported, I want to assure people of this. If you are deported to Belize, please remember that it's home, right? And it's not to downplay the seriousness of the situation. It's a very, very serious situation. And I only say this to folks so that they can remember that and stay calm, right? Our country is not a place where, it's not at war. You're not going to be in a situation where you should be fearful, depending on who you are, I suppose. But it's really important to not panic. And I know people panic. I know it's a very scary situation. I have not been in the situation myself, but I have represented people who have been in that situation. I've been in surroundings when ICE shows up. It's terrifying, right? I've been inside many, many detention centers. It's terrifying. But it's important to remember that it's a temporary situation and that you have to stay calm. Because if you start panicking and freaking out, you will say the wrong thing and so on, and you will just compound your situation, right? Right now, the people that are being either detained, meaning they're picked up and then they're taken to some facility, are people who are subject to what's called mandatory detention, right? So those are people with criminal convictions. Those are people who have been ordered deported and did not leave. Those are people who have been deported and came back before their bar time is over, right? And there are people who are wanted for certain crimes. There are people who are seen as danger to society. So those are the ones that are immediate. There are also the people who have already been in the system. So these folks, these guys are going around bragging about how they have these huge numbers. Well, the people that they're picking up are people who have already been in the system. So these are people who have been deported under Joe Biden anyway, right? So if you're in that category, it's important to start getting ready. And what that means is you get your passport together, you get all your papers. If you have young children, make sure there's someone who can help you to manage your kids. Because if your children were born in the U.S., they don't have to go if you go, right? Unless they're very young and you have to take them with you. Because right now they're trying to attack birthright citizenship. And what birthright citizenship is if you were born on U.S. soil, and that is enshrined in the Constitution. You're an American, and that is a thing that they're trying to attack. Is to reverse birthright citizenship. And if they do that, if they're successful at that, we don't know that they can do it or not. They're going to try for sure, because they have, anchor babies and birth tourism and all this other kind of stuff. Anchor babies are, people, children who were born here, who parents come in specifically for their children to be born on U.S. soil.
Yeah. And a lot of Belizeans, as you know, fall into that category. They figure it's a safer environment medically to have their children, or they just want their child to be a U.S. citizen in the event that they themselves want to process. So explain that for us kind of slowly so we could understand. Is this new rule saying they will attempt to bypass that 14th Amendment and say that even if your child was born in the U.S., they can still send that child home? Regardless
it's not necessarily that they can send them home, but they are fighting to amend the Constitution, amend the 14th Amendment, if you will, to say that even if you were born here, if your parents are undocumented, you are not a citizen. That's going to be hard won. It's going to be hard fought. It's enshrined in the Constitution. There are many scholars who are writing and thinking about birthright citizenship. It is so long in a tradition in this country that it's going to be really hard for them to overturn that. They might do it, in the long run. I don't know. However, it's going to be a huge battle. And so people should continue to have their children here if they're here and they're expecting their child soon and so on. Because at the end of the day, one of the big problems is if they take away birthright citizenship, then they leave a huge number of people stateless, right? Because then where are they? What's their citizenship? So that's one of the arguments that's being made. So it's going to be very hard to overturn that.
Yeah.
And then where do you start?
Just because it's an important point, sorry for disturbing your thoughts, but if you get caught in a situation like that, it sounds like your advice is that go ahead and let them send you back to Belize and then begin your process of getting your rights established. Or can you fight them there? And what can you do to fight them there and say, no, I'm a citizen and I refuse to go with you? Is that approach even, recommended?
That's an approach that should be taken. Yeah. Never let people just pick you up and take you, right? Deportation is a legal process. You have to go through the courts to do that. I know they're picking up speed and trying to just do it illegally. The problem is for them that if they do that, then they end up having to spend a huge amount of money to bring people back.
So they would get sued and would have to pay.
And because immigration is deportation is a legal process, they have to do it correctly, right? And why that's important is, and I talked about this the last time I was on your show, why it's important is that through that process, if you are ordered deported at the end of your case, it is important to go and attend your case because you receive something called a bar time, right? Bar time is the amount of time that the court gives you that you cannot return to the U.S. And there are different levels of bar time. There's 3 years, 5 years, 10, 15, 20, and permanent. Now, if you receive one of those lower ones, after that, or whichever you receive, after that time is up, you are able to apply to come back in, right? So people who get what's called a notice to appear for deportation proceedings, a lot of times they run away or they don't show up. It's important to show up. It's important to show up because so that you can go through the process. And if you go through the process, then you get that bar time and so on. And I know that it's frightening and people don't want to be deported. But if you don't show up, you're ordered deported anyway, and you're ordered deported in absentia, meaning without your presence.
Wow.
So you don't get
so you
to
can
take
be
your
deported
case.
without even being present. Yeah.
Right. It's called deportation in absentia, right? And so if you are absent from your hearing, it doesn't mean that your hearing and your deportation trial doesn't go forward. It does go forward. And the judge will order you deported for sure if you don't show up. But if you show up and you can put on a case and you have a lawyer and you can make arguments, it's important to do that. Yeah. Now, people think oh, Donald Trump, this monster, which he is actually, but he is just going to pick us up and put us out, and that's going to happen to some people. But those processes are illegal, and if that happens to you, it is important to apply to come back in right away, and because you have that right to come back in so that you're deported properly.
Yeah.
And or you go through the deportation process properly, because like I said, you want to get that bar time.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah, it seems like one of the access that we have in the United States. I know you don't do it anymore because you're now a professor in the school, but you used to be one of those go-to immigration lawyers that Belizeans would have access to. I wonder if with this now turn around, if this would be giving Belizean attorneys with that immigration background to be able to service Belizeans here who are getting deported and would need the level of advice that you're giving now, free of charge, by the way, to help them re-enter the United States. I'm not sure that our own lawyers here, of course, law is law, so any lawyer can do it. But a specific immigration lawyer would know all the hoops and turns. Do you see an opening there for Belizean attorneys to specify themselves in the area of immigration because of this present climate?
Yeah, there's an opportunity. The thing is that if you're a lawyer and you have not yet practiced immigration law, it is really important to get mentored by an attorney who has that background, just because immigration law is extremely complex.
Yeah.
Right? And with a lot of our citizens from Belize, a lot of them have criminal convictions. And that is a very different area of law. It's not just straight up immigration law. That's a specialty called criminal immigration law.
Yeah, yeah.
And those are typically lawyers who have a background in criminal defense and immigration, right? So it's very highly specialized. It's very intricate. Lots and lots of laws and lots of places to trip up.
Yeah.
And so, lawyers who have it's not just any law background.
Exactly.
It's
So,
important to get
yeah.
yourself trained. And one of the ways to do that is to volunteer through nonprofits that will give you a mentor attorney to work with.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't see any place that a Belizean who gets deported feels like he or she was illegally, it was done illegally. I don't see them having any recourse with attorneys here, but as I said, maybe this set of circumstances will cause some attorneys to specialize in that area. Can you differentiate, I know our time is short, but can you differentiate between how a person who has a criminal background and is trying to get amnesty compared to a person who is not in the crosshair of the legal people? How are they treated differently? If I am already in an amnesty program, can I be rejected and sent back to Belize, or do I still have the right to go through the amnesty?
If there are criminal convictions, is that your question?
Mm.
Yeah, criminal convictions, it depends on what the conviction is. And so, people get all kinds of levels of convictions, right? So if some people think, well, if I have a misdemeanor, I'm okay. But if you have multiple misdemeanors, in immigration law, they're stacked together to create a felony conviction. So if you have, 3 or 4 convictions for shoplifting, that becomes a felony, right? And it makes you deportable. And then there are different levels of criminal convictions that make one imminently deportable, but also with a permanent bar. And one of them that we get into a lot of trouble with culturally is DUI, right? So a lot of Belizeans get DUIs. I get those calls all the time. If you have multiple DUIs, let's say anywhere from 2 and up,
Yeah.
it makes you deportable and with a permanent bar. So
And DUI, for those who don't know, means driving under the influence, usually alcohol.
Right. I'm sorry. Yes, that's important to distinguish. So driving under the influence, driving under the influence of alcohol, of controlled substances, or even marijuana, if marijuana is legal in your jurisdiction.
Wow.
But being picked up, being altered that way, multiples of those will make you deportable with a permanent bar. Another area that Belizeans get tripped up in is domestic violence. And domestic violence is an aggravated felony, and if you are convicted for one domestic violence charge, you are deportable with a permanent bar.
Wow.
So that, those are, and if you get a permanent bar, that means you can never come back. And so the two, the alcohol consumption and domestic violence go hand in hand for a lot of our people from Central America, right? Because we drink and then we go beat up our spouse, that kind of thing. And it goes both ways for men and women, because I have women who are in situations right now where they've had domestic violence convictions and they're imminently deportable because of it. And so those are the things, when you go about your daily life, you're accustomed to interacting in certain ways. Well, domestic violence and hitting somebody is not acceptable in the U.S. and it makes you have to go and not be able to ever come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me ask one question more before, and I thank you because I know you have to get on and it's a long drive to your university, but thank you very much. I need you to know we appreciate this because people are asking questions, but they're asking questions of people who cannot give them a full learned answer as you are. But finally, it appears that Mr. Trump and his colleague there, Mr. Musk, in starting the Dodge ministry, appears that they are trying to cut costs in the American system. Everything seems to be a business deal now. And they are making a business deal, and it's, from my mind, it's not being touted as a business deal, but it sounds like it's a business deal that they are paying upwards of, and I think the figure I came up with was close to $40,000 a year to house an inmate in a prison in the United States. Here in Belize, we're paying around 10 million Belize dollars, which is 5 million US dollars. So it gives you an idea of the difference in cost of inmate care in a first world country and in a developing country. Now we hear that in Musk attempting to cut costs and to reach this plateau of efficiency in the US government, they are now contemplating outsourcing prisoners out of the US prison system. This is not only sending people back to Salvador and Venezuela and India and Pakistan that are in fact natives, but they are thinking about taking American persons out of their prisons and outsourcing them, and Bukele in Salvador has already given a green or at least a yellow light saying we are interested in talking about this. Now, is that legal? Is there, how could you do that? How could, that's like us taking prisoners out of prison in Belize and sending them to Jamaica or Cayman Island. Is that even legal to do that?
This is the first I'm hearing of that. I'm not familiar with
yes,
that
yes.
with that process. But what I am familiar with is undocumented people being sent into Guantanamo, right? So rather than housing them here in the U.S., they're taking them into Cuba, and there is no precedent for that kind of thing, right? There's precedent for federal people who have breached the federal laws in terms of immigrants. You know what happened in Guantanamo, how they had all those prisoners of war there. Yeah. So I've heard prisoners of war being treated that way, but I've never heard of American citizens being treated that way, or undocumented people. So it's new. We're in a lot of unknown territory right now, and which is scary because people are going to get caught up. Yeah. And those who don't have the resources to fight it, those are the ones that end up getting really hurt, right? So, but I'm not familiar with taking Americans out of the U.S. for. I'm sure it must have happened sometime in the past. Why they even have that idea to do that? Yeah. And unfortunately, we're treating Elon Musk like he has some kind of authority, which he does not. he does not have any authority in that he's being given that, but it should be challenged because he's not elected. He's not a
Yeah.
part of the administration or anything like that.
And he's still
But
a South African, isn't he?
no, he's in the United States, but South Africa doesn't want him.
I see.
But yeah, he's here, and he's being given all this power.
A lot of powers.
Because of his
powers.
money.
And he apparently has a group, a little small group that works with him. That is. Anyway, I don't want to prolong it. I thank you very much, Professor. We appreciate it. It's an ongoing thing, so clearly we're going to have to come back with you maybe a couple of months from now and
Yes.
get an update if possible. Any
There'll
final
be more
word from you?
information. But before I go, I want to say this to folks, and I know there are a lot of people out there who are in this situation. If you have a green card and you have hesitated to become a citizen, this is the time to do it. If you are able to get a green card, get American citizenship, and you have been stalling. I know a lot of people are doing it. I have many people in my family who have been in the United States for upwards of 30 years using a green card. It's time to apply for citizenship, because even with a green card, you are still deportable.
Deportable,
right? And so if you have a green card and you have some interaction with the police around DUI, you are still deportable. A green card does not protect you from deportation.
Yes.
So it's important to do that. The other thing is, if you are in the pipeline for any kind of green card, especially if it's a sibling green card, they're getting rid of that category. That's one of the categories that they're getting rid of, is if you can be petitioned for by your sibling. They want to get rid of that. And so if you have an opportunity to get that into the pipeline now, before they get rid of that category, do it now.
Yeah.
I know people think, oh, I don't have the money to do it. Find the money. Because if that's important to you, it's really important to get it done now before it's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
And but I wanna stress, if you are able to become a citizen, that means that it's been 3 years or more. If you got your green card through marriage, it is time to apply. If you got it in any other way, 5 years. So if you've had it for 5 years and you got it through your work or through a sibling or another relative that's not a spouse, really, really important to be able to apply for that citizenship now. It's the only thing that will protect you, right? They are talking about getting rid of naturalized citizenship as well. That's going to be a very long fight as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully this person will be there for only 4 years and we can get back to business as usual once he's gone.
Yes.
But I wish people
unless he
well.
suspends the Constitution altogether, right, and he'll be there longer. Thank you very, very much. And by the way, I read something, I don't know how true this is, but for those permanent residents, and there's so many, who live in Belize but have their permanent resident and then they go back to the States every so often, they say to keep the card alive. I understand now that the immigration can stop you at the border and ask you to prove that you have been 2 years without a break in the United States before you have left and come back to Belize or any other place. I don't know how true it is, but for those who like to take those 6 months and take a 1 year, everything just be careful. It's a different climate altogether. Professor Williams, thank you very much for being with us.
Which is why I encourage those people, because I think Belize recognizes dual citizenship, right? Which is why I encourage those people to apply for citizenship here if they want to maintain their status. Because if you have citizenship here, you have citizenship in Belize, you're safer going back and forth. Nobody's going to stop you.
That's right.
You have your American passport, you have your Belize passport, and so on. I know that people don't want to split loyalties. I get it. However, if you want to maintain your status here, it is important to have that citizenship.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Take
Thank
good care.
you.
I appreciate it, and we'll be back with you.
Thank you.
It's
Have a
12
good day.
minutes now after 8 o'clock. We took a little long to make sure that she answered some of the critical questions that we have, but we do have another guest coming in after we take this break.
February is all
Vibes, and thank Sister Sharon Williams, attorney at law, professor at law now, for gracing us and helping us to understand this immigration issue in the United States and how it affects Belizeans. We now have another Belizean attorney based here, and he's no surprise here. I mean,
Good morning, Nuri.
This is a good brother. Whenever I want to get some clarification on legal matters, I always go to him. Welcome, brother.
Thanks, Nuri. Thanks for having me. Good morning, viewers and listeners of Mighty Cream organization. This is actually the heartbeat of the Creole community. And it's always a pleasure to be here, even if last minute notice.
Yes, yes.
I wanted, before I even distract my own self, to say to you and your colleagues who have been doing such a fabulous job in speaking to most of the young men who have gone astray and have fallen prey to the temptations that the other side of the society offers to young persons like them. Big respect, man, because every murder that is prevented is a huge victory, you know? In the Christian religion, they say, one sinner who is saved, there is rejoicing in heaven.
Yeah.
So we have, despite the one or two sad situations that occur, we have seen a marked decrease, and we pray to the Almighty that that downward trend continues in our society.
Indeed, indeed.
We really need to make that the number one priority,
Yeah.
and deal with this problem that we don't feel safe. We don't live in a society where we happy and laugh and can dance. I don't know when a business opened on the south side, because people are fearful, no?
Yeah.
And also because I'm hoping we could say something about the upcoming general elections and about the
Well,
side.
I got that on.
Yeah, okay, fine,
All right,
all right.
but I want to go to that tragedy that took place last week at the Marian Jones Station, Marian Jones Stadium. And the young man who has been arrested has not been charged with murder. In fact, no one has been charged with the murder of Brandon Baptist. And though he had been charged with attempted murder and harm, etc., there's still the question mark as to who then will be charged with the murder of Brandon. And is the police having some problem establishing it as a murder, since the accused is saying it's self-defense?
Well, there has to be a murder for somebody to be charged. And the police, quite rightly, and it is the law of our country, that where a person has committed a homicide, where you have killed someone else, and you are saying, I felt I had no choice, I was under attack myself, I was fearful, and I therefore used the weapon I had, the police are not allowed on their own to charge such a person. The law is that the file goes to the Director of Public Prosecution, who have a battery of attorneys who are trained in the criminal law. Not only trained, they are fully experienced, they are familiar with looking at statements and at everything that is applicable, and arrive at a decision. Because I also want to mention this, I was with lawyers yesterday. You know, we are just beginning to understand in our society that when the police charge you and there's no evidence, and they still put you through getting arrested, going to Colby on remand, whether you go there on remand or not, and you go through a full trial and there's no evidence, you can't sue. People need to sue. I'm begging Belizeans, a way to make your society better is that when you are deprived of your liberty, or when your name is scandalized that you have taken part in such a thing, and
it's not true.
And it is absolutely not supported by evidence. It's easy to look on the television and say, oh, they're guilty and this and that, but no evidence. Please, if you want the society to be better. And let me segue and also say this. A number of persons were rounded up and put in jail for 90 days on the last state of emergency. It has nothing to do with gang. I mean, the society need to really understand that we all are against criminals and criminality. And when you start to say that, you have to pause a bit and ask yourself, what about the white-collar crime? What about those who rip off the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars? What about when everything looks like illegal, but it's not only immoral, it is criminal what is done to siphon off large sums of monies into private pockets. Those monies are taxpayers' monies. And so...
Why is it so difficult to charge when it appears to be so evident at the base of the pyramid we cannot find convictions going up? Why? And I'm talking about 40 odd years. I'm not seeing anybody of any level of significance. I mean, ordinary people in society. Every so often we get a big man.
No, and then something happens. Yeah.
But those individuals where people know and believe are involved in white-collar crime, but nobody touches them.
Well, like I was saying, there has to be evidence, there has to be proof. I come to your studio trying to fight the traffic, so I diverted down the Chetumal Street. And by the way, let me also segue from segue. The streets of Belize City are breaking up. It's a painful experience to ride your bike and drive your vehicle. The streets of Belize City in a mess. I mean, we're not trying to blame nobody. We did go through a period of very, very heavy rains. But man, Belize City broke up, and then the drains are not properly cleaned out, and the abandoned yards are overgrown. We can't continue to live like this. But let me come back to Chetumal Street. There's a huge building there. If I understand correct, Nuri and listeners of CREM, Minister Julius Espat, who is trained in that particular discipline, which is that you can cost, C-O-S-T, the amount of materials and monies that goes into building any particular type of building. So many piles, so much money per pile, so many sacks of cement, so much steel, so much glass, so much. Everything is costed, and the labor. And I stand corrected, but Minister Julius Espat has said more than once that building could not cost $27 million.
Yeah.
That is a crime.
Yeah.
Somebody has
done.
gone.
Also about the Social Security building in Belmapani?
Yes.
Similar comment.
Yes, but what is done? Look at the amount of things that we know. You know, who was it? I don't want to go down that road that will happen. People buy, I know a recent incident where they showed me all the thing. They buy 4 brand new tires for a government vehicle. The tires not even put on the vehicle. In previous bygone hustling, and so you get a tire, you put it on, you make it look and you take it off and sell it. 4 brand new, not even go on the vehicle. In fact, yes, my boy, it's just, well, you know, I have a note here, maybe we get to it, but we are doing a very bad job of managing and running our country.
So who is responsible? I mean, because look, we're at the public officers level who have to go through the procurement, and he could see the hustle. And then at the top, the people who make the arrangement, who are going to find the contractors, etc., he knows that this is an overspend. Then it goes all the way up to the minister, who is an architect, and understands that that should not cost that. Is it just for public consumption to say, why that no cost that, and you don't do any going back all the way through, do the due diligence to find out exactly who gone with the money?
Excellent question.
And pretty much that's what was done during Booth's time, yeah, with that $8 million that they road.
Yeah.
So when are we going to, and what police, as you're rightly saying, investigates the crimes them at the base.
Yeah.
It's very sexy to say we got this is why. So, but how about the man there with the ride around?
Well, let's deal with that one first and then go to the more complicated. The history of our country is that we just came out of colonial management and control. One, when we received our self-government, meaning we now start to govern ourselves in the 60s.
Yeah, 60s.
When we just, I guess, our government, Jamaica, Trinidad, and then done independent.
Yeah.
So we had that. I don't want to use big words like gestation and all that thing, but the long period that we could have got no independence, but Guatemala kept saying publicly and threatening that the minute the British leave, they'll come and take back the land. That delayed us, but it also had a psychological
Definite
effect.
psychological.
You and I are Creoles, we come from the south side of Belize City. North side of me a small thing, you know, all in place where the valuable thing that we just swamp.
They just come up in
They just come up the other day.
Yeah.
But we're all one people. So that period there, and coming out of that, the police department was simply the colonial guardians of the British. Strict law and order. When you go to, there were hardly many murders because the society was small.
Very
all of we
strict.
poor,
Very
nobody
strict.
no want to drive no SUV. They didn't have SUV, cell phone, television, all these luxuries.
In those days, balloon tire was the luxury. For
We had to make things.
rally to, yeah.
We made things. We made caparucha from cotton
Yes,
reel. I don't
yes.
think the young generation know the
No,
cotton
yeah,
reel.
yeah,
We made a little board truck there. We put the Colgate red thing like light on top of it. Top, we made our own top.
More creative.
Yeah. Kite, we make our own kite.
Yeah.
So that's another world. So this world now is more complicated. We have allowed American television to invade us and take over our minds.
Yeah, but I thought that police would have, over the years, come up in terms of, man, we've
They can.
established FIU, we've
Yeah, no.
established the investigation into this new law that, you know, we want your
Well,
show.
that building is right there. FIU has investigated that.
And,
A qualified person has come publicly. We don't come public, you know. Qualified people don't say anything, you know. They talk at their social events and all these things. And I say nothing out there, you know. A man who is now a minister of government has said, there's no way that could cost 27. Now I stand corrected on another matter. It is said, all that money there was either a loan or a gift from Taiwan.
Right.
You know, poor Taiwan, they are trying to buy support in the world.
of course.
Less and less countries are supporting them. So Taiwan either gave or loaned that money. It is being said by some public officers that money did not go into the central bank, did not go into the treasury of the nation, that went straight to private places.
Wow.
So we are doing a very disservice to the future generations of our country because we are not managing the resources and the country. No, you have asked some questions. The police is not made up to go in and investigate that type of thing. That calls for accountants, for forensic auditors, for
clearly.
person. And the government don't want to spend money on that. The government doesn't spend money on enough regular investigators, the CIB. People like me who interact with them, so like the other day, they don't have no air conditioning and they work the clean sheet in that terrible sun hot. They know they get an allowance, they know they get, we really know they do it, you know. Yeah? So, but so-called white collar crime is complicated. And the people with brains who they pull in it off. They think long ahead of time and they do that thing. Was white collar crime involved in when we paid Mr. Ashcroft $500 million? Which lawyers got the legal fees? How come? Why wasn't the government lawyers who are trained in a straightforward matter that just sit down and work out one contract?
Why would you outsource something that we can do?
Yeah. And that has happened again with the listen of all the persons, the former prime minister of this nation. Whatever they think about him, who he damaged and dismantled all the protective institutions that are there to help the society, put people who are just political flunkies, they will do nothing, say nothing, you know, they say, oh, same old, same old. He come public to say that at the Port Authority, they had offered to sell it to government already for some $40 or $60 million. We buy it for $198 million. Who are the people who sat in that meeting? How many $1 million did they get if they got? Why we do that? It's just to sit down and say, that no cost that. You they offer so much, I'm offering so much. Just a little mediation, my boy. I don't like you don't need the highest levels of technical, legal skills for getting them and things like sell one whole port. Don't you have a picture of the port there? That's just one old pair, you know, that one old pair with some.
You will.
So,
but if you got a man like Geg, who did come out at the Senate hearing and say, look, they came and they try to get money from, isn't that enough for you to say, all right, we've got some evidence here. Make we start to move. But it just become a blip and then it gone.
All right, so finally let me say this because I want to mention...
Mind you know, I'm asking you because you would have fished from river bottom, you sat in a cabinet.
That river they blow, that river
No, I don't know, you don't got like all
you see this river where they are? The river is muddy and murky.
I don't want you to get paid for that. You actually, no, you had an actual position.
Yes.
Where, and I need to give you kudos, but at the same time, it is a criticism.
Yes.
You understand the base of the pyramid.
Yes.
But you also understand what goes on in the boardroom, which is a
that's why I'm speaking
room.
like this. But don't think I don't punish for this. The other day we were talking, Nuri, you and your viewers and these people don't know what me and my family go through.
I can imagine.
I can't zip up when I live, and but I said zip it.
Yeah, you can't. You can't.
Because it's hard, okay?
Yeah.
So, you know.
And they will persecute you.
Yes,
and they know how to do it. Yeah, they know how to do it.
But I want to say this because we were discussing this recently. First, I want to give you, giving kudos to me and thank you. I want to give big kudos to the financial secretary.
You mean Mr. Wade?
Yes, the man, he's a gentleman, a humble man.
Very humble. I talked to him last week. Beautiful brother.
He has
and consistent.
Yeah, I'm talking decades.
And not hustler.
No man, you know, especially in that part that he has inherited some of George Price genes.
Yes, I see it.
We grew up in a house, George Price got millions of dollars hiding in Switzerland, George Price, the chick on George Price, just why?
Yeah.
So, but let me end with saying that.
Why we know how to kill you with our mouth, you know.
Sure.
And we know how to contain you.
That is I know. Good. That's
they put you in a kind of a straight jacket and it's all just culture.
Look at you, why aren't you in charge of this whole program and so you're not?
It's just
they just need you and they come to you. But let me just make
anyway,
this point and we will go on to other matters. I have said it, I want to say it again. Big respect to you, Nuri, for the work you do. It's not an easy work how people could think. You know, the man, they listen, they're not like everybody gone and no high school, you know. They don't think like me and you, you know. They think it's the wild, wild west. So it is a very good job, and I know Minister Karim really, really respects the work that you all are doing. And his new CEO, oh man, a lot of good things is happening with Ms. Sharol Saldivar. She is by functions of her position as the new Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Home Affairs. She is the chairperson for the parole board. Right. It is the law in this country that when you have been found guilty and sentenced to jail, which is a terrible thing, you know, to go to jail, people think, what? No, listen, what you have, when you go to jail, you are broken.
Once you go in there, man, slam that door there, if 1 week,
and then there's no oversight, no nothing, they live on their own. So, what, as the chairperson of the parole board, I am now hearing prisoners having a little hope that there's an opportunity for them to be considered. Yes. A prisoner must spend at least 50% of his time to be considered, to be eligible. Let's not use that word, to be available, to be considered that you can be granted parole. That is so important because people must know they get a chance, you know, and you reach your parole conditions and so you're back in to spend your full time. But I wanted to ask the administrator, that the poor minister is so busy he can't do everything. And big respect, is it true that they say some poll that they had said that Karim is the most popular politician next to Johnny Bissey? No, you've seen that or heard that?
Well, I've heard it.
Okay, by big respect, Karim, that's not an easy thing
not at all.
In a cynical society.
Very cynical.
Yes, very cynical.
Very cynical. But I just wanted to say, because, you know, I work directly with him.
Yes,
and really
in one capacity, no?
In one
you
capacity.
can't tell the minister, please make them change 60 grams of weed to about 100 grams to be drug trafficking. All the people that get charged with drug trafficking
I think what is happening there is that there is a difference in how the police is approaching that law.
Yeah, but the police don't run the country. We don't vote for them.
Yeah, but you know, but it goes back to the cabinet. They need to make the clarification that they have not done it, and it does rest with Karim Musa because it is his ministry.
A tourist come to Belize. We want all the tourists we can get, especially the overnights, because the one on the ship don't have time. They just run to the baboon, they're not happy with them, they're not moving up. Baboon, they fold their arm and they take their tail and they wrap it tight. And no, they do no performance today. But the overnight spend more money.
Hole for you.
Nothing. when I say they got feelings. So a tourist comes to our country, she or he there is arrested for 11 grams of marijuana.
It's
Come
ridiculous.
on, man, there's nobody with no
and
sense in the police.
and insult you and embarrass you.
And got your
And
name all
everybody
over the
said you're
internet.
all over the
Yes,
internet.
you're a criminal, you're a criminal.
And you come from a place
Where
where
they
you
have
brought
property.
it was legal.
Yes, but even so, listen,
Yeah.
poor thing, they don't know better. Maybe we need to put up a sign. If
If you
you
go-
go to court and you want to challenge it, take the weed out of the file or the plastic. I bet you don't know 11 grams.
Yeah.
And the law is 10 grams.
Yeah.
Come on, man, there must be a thing called discretion. And I'm glad the commissioner has said we need the police departments, the sergeants, whoever in charge at the various stations, use the cojones, and when somebody is charged for something, get a station bail. No matter, we got people locked up in there. You know,
Ridiculous,
so that's the one lady people when a big word break.
Yeah.
I don't know, I must break my conversation. Say the thing mean. So let me say again, Joseph Wade, big respect.
Yes.
But we now need in the new administration that's coming, because as you said, we'll talk a little bit about the election,
We
because
will.
the time is almost over and I'm gone.
Yeah.
All right, you'll do the break because the break
We
is
have
the
to do the
longest
break, and people need to understand. And they say, boy, Nuri, you only could talk. I meet my match. So let's take our break.
With a cruel man, we got the masters.
In Belize, we value our
All right, our guest, attorney at law, Dickie Bradley, an icon on his own because he's been involved in so much. No, Dickie, let's not take it away from you.
You make a gay girl, man, I'm a handful. I don't need no pressure. I don't need no more pressure. Icon.
No,
I can.
This is a brother who has really, he's kept his connection with roots, and it's important to have him come back here every so often and give us his idea of some of what is going on. So listen, I go back again now international. Mr. Trump has given some ideas that
President Trump.
Yeah, and some people are with his ideas and some people are against his ideas. For example, I've heard a lot of people say, boy, I don't like Trump, but I like his position that he's taken on there's only two genders. I like the position he's taken that
that's one of the reasons he got elected.
Yeah, I think a significant amount of people said, I held my nose, but I say compared to what was America's direction and where he looked as though he want to abruptly change, for that reason I voted for him. But then with all the other agenda items, now I got real concern that I put this man in there and he's got it for 4 years. With the attorney that was with us earlier, I mentioned the fact that we have heard Mr. Rubio going to El Salvador. He's gone to Maduro in Venezuela. This morning, Sandra told me that he also went to Costa Rica and Dominican Republic, all in trying to work out immigration arrangements to fly planes back there. But one of the things I read yesterday is that he's making arrangement for U.S. prisoners to be taken out of U.S. prisons and taken into other jurisdictions. And the one that I read yesterday was from Bukele in Salvador, who is saying, I will take not only Salvadorians that you're sending back, but if you want to send some of your prisoners, we have enough room for them likewise. I don't know if you've heard it.
I read it.
All right, so what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think a criminal like Bukele has pulled off a master stroke with a convicted man who is the president in America, because Trump has been convicted.
He's a felon, indeed.
So it's a brilliant move from Bukele's standpoint, because Bukele is violating he is violating human rights of his citizens.
Yes, and he's on the investigation, by the way. Yeah, he's on the investigation.
Nothing today, because after they left there, they're going to live down in Miami and live happily ever after. But that brilliant move, because it means he and Trump, they're on the same wavelength. So he no face no problem that America will cut aid, that America will expose what he has done. Because I think I mentioned to you,
good point.
I think I mentioned to you that in Belize, we literally picked up and put in prison for 90 days people that had nothing to do with no gang. I hope when they do sue, please don't go sue. Not come to me, don't go sue with any other liar and take it the high so that you get some big money. The only way you want to stop chance from taking off a poor people, you can pick up somebody and put them in jail 90 days. Man, that don't like Bukele, that mini Bukele. That is not the country we want. You know the hatred that in somebody's hearts.
Yeah.
So I say that because Bukele has made a brilliant move. He have the most powerful man on the planet on his side. You will not hear nothing about that from CNN and MSBC and that. And so Bukele, that's the kind of guy we need down there in those, what you say, what call it, shithole countries. That's how they think. How can you be the president of the United States of America, the shiny city on the hill, the beacon of hope and freedom? How can you be that and say that clean out Gaza, clean out?
Put it into a Riviera.
We not do that
Riviera.
we don't do that with our stray dog.
Yeah.
Clean out. And
Yeah.
guess what? So that they could have a tourist resort. So that presumably, allegedly, his family can start to sell all in fabulous beachfront.
Well,
How you could say that in the world? How you could say that? These people literally have been under the dominion of the Israelis, who have satisfied everybody that you can't be more brutal than that. You can't. In fact, the International Criminal Court has put out a warrant for the arrest of Netanyahu.
Indeed, indeed.
And they should arrest Joe Biden too.
Yes, yes, sir.
And Kamala Harris as vice
Yes,
president,
yes,
because
sir.
she did not resign when they
In
started
law,
to
what
give
do you call
billions
that?
of dollars, billions of dollars.
Yeah, what do you call it in law when you are associated with
Aiding and abetting.
Aiding and
abetment,
abetting.
yeah.
And you can be just as guilty as the person who did it.
Of course,
you
with
know?
the right then, no say
But
nothing
listen, let me ask
Sure, man, we know that with that.
this because of our time.
Yeah. The repercussions.
But this is the one, and I want to paint this scenario to you because it's very real. I've been thinking about it the last couple of days. The South Africans have taken the Israelis to court at the ICJ. They have advanced the case of making sure that, look, the world will not forget that this is genocide.
Yeah.
South Africa has been joined by several other nations. I think about 10 nations.
Small.
And Belize recently joined that group.
Yes.
The Hague group. Yeah. And have been a very profound, and thank you, Dean Flowers, for sending me the detail of that pronouncement. Here's my point. When our ambassador, Assad Shuman, was making his points on joining the South
legal
African,
action, no?
Yeah, the legal action by the South Africans. He never played to highlight the US and the UK. Even though, of course, it's Israel, he did not play with the United States being not only culprit, but actual guilty as the Israelis in what went on in the Gaza.
But that is clear, you know.
Clear. Now, here's my question to you. With this man, Mr. Trump, being as sensitive as he is, and deciding that, guess what? I'm offended by what Mr. Assad has done.
We're in trouble.
And I am looking at you Belizeans here. I haven't heard any one of you criticizing him. Is that the way you are thinking, Belizeans, in regards to our situation here? I'll put some sanction power. And so therefore, could we be looking at Mr. Trump deciding, based on what was done, and it was a courageous move on the part of Assad, sanctions coming from the Americans because of the position taken by our own diplomat?
Yes, we need to walk a very, very tight rope in relation to that matter. President Biden has started to put sanctions on the International Criminal Court members for daring to look into whether or not genocide is going on in Gaza, and who are responsible should be made to answer. America start to sanction it. America has not joined the International Criminal Court. I wonder why.
Why? And that's been over many years.
When Trump came along, Trump just in office like 2.5 weeks, you know, 2.5 weeks out of 4 years, he renewed and increased the sanctions on the persons in the court. That is like a government, they tell for we chief justice and chief magistrate and for we judges and whatnot, I'm not happy want to make a decision and a deal, don't know.
Sanction them.
Because we have had a prime minister not so long, we cuss up the judge then when they go against him. You imagine that?
Yeah.
So, listen, this is a very, very serious matter here because we have a claim by our next door neighbor who is the best friend of Israel. They're the only two that did not support we ever getting our independence. Let's understand Guatemala and Israel, then the ass and chamber part. And you see how Bukele they bow down because he know he have, then one crosser, they have lots of violations that they have done to their people and are doing to their people. They have slaughtered over 200,000
That's right.
Maya, indigenous people and regular other citizens of their country in the longest civil war in our region. So, when I heard and when they showed snippet on Al Jazeera of the new president of the United States of America, a country we grew up in love with America. You know how much of my brethren then left high school for go to States because that is the land of milk and honey. And anytime they do get a chance to come visit, remember they used to drive out all these pretty big vans and come and get gal and tell we all in story. Oh, well, I'm an assistant to so and so. Oh, I'm in charge of a thing. You know the gas station and the man tell you, I think the manager, you know, they want to sweep out the gas station, you know, but they not come back and tell you that. And respect too, then they try and make it, yeah. But my point is that we love the United States of America. We can't believe that. So you wind me up with something.
Yes.
It is clear in this world where white people are. The white tribes in Europe, Britain, and in the United States of America and Canada sat back and watched Netanyahu, who is wanted for criminal allegations against him in that country. The minute he is no longer prime minister, he be going to court to defend himself. They gave monies to that man's government. They gave bombs and weapons of destruction while he undertook a mass slaughter. Do you know that they have finally said, I had sent you a thing some time ago, they finally admitted now that it is 60,000 to 70,000 persons who have been killed, my boy. Over 100,000 have been injured with that man. Listen, he tell you, come out of the north of your own country, get out of northern Gaza, and he bomb and bomb and he bomb school, he bomb church, he bomb hospital, refugee camp, residential areas. The street then, they can't go back, they want to go back to their country, they have to walk in the sand, they go and dig up and bulldoze up. Man, what kind of, that is like Nazi behavior. And the sad thing about Belize, because of this link between the evangelical churches in America who use Jesus' name to hustle money, a lot of them, in the name of Jesus, use this special kind of oil, use this, when you got some water, we have to use it. I want to send it to you free, not get your address, because after that, Jesus wants you to donate. Jesus wants you to. So, this is a very serious thing. If he can say those things, if he can say, Panama Canal, when they charge me too much money, I will have to get that canal now. Jimmy Carter don't a fool for giving it back on their own. I will take it back. Then they tell Greenland, and they tell a lie to the world that the people of Greenland want to be Americans, you know.
That's a lie.
They tell them, sell me the thing, I don't want to have to use the truth to go take it. Said Greenland have minerals. If he can do all those things, and we are in court with Guatemala, who is very good friend to him, you think you could tell him, go ahead and hold on to Toledo?
Yeah.
You tell him, when already done got Sassoon already,
Yeah.
keep it.
Or if we end up with a situation where the Guatemalans again begin to get
really
aggressive,
antsy.
yeah, and provoke us into an international situation.
Yeah.
How many of us will say, boy, Assad gonna start this thing, man, wrong with everybody, you see where you bring power, etc.
We do that.
Boy.
No, we need to walk a tightrope because the world has changed.
Yeah.
The white people in the world has shown no wonder slavery gone on for so much hundreds of years. They don't got no. Why? How these Christians operate like this?
No.
You kill innocent people over and over. 1 year a man to kill them people.
Yeah.
Guess what? He has not destroyed Hamas. He has created more Hamas.
Exactly. Yeah.
America give billions of dollars. Even Joe Biden, who his business in a jail, when he do. Even he stopped getting one certain bomb, the 2,000-pound bomb. Then he stopped that because then they use it for civilians.
Yes.
Trump already tell the military getting people in bomb. They don't send it to them already.
I want to give you one last area because of the time, and I said it's very, very important because we touched on this when you were here the last time also. The influence of social media, which has been taken for granted. Why? Because it has so much good to it. You could get a whole lot of information.
Good and bad
everything. Man, it's got, you know, well, some people refer to it as the tree in the Garden of Eden because it has knowledge of good and knowledge of evil, you know. So the point is that many societies are recognizing now, China long ago, you can't just take internet in China like that. They got it blocked. There are many other countries that have also done it. Now, a Western country that did it just 2 months ago was Australia. If you're under 16 years old, you cannot get access to social media because they're trying to protect their children. Last night, I read that in UK, they're about to do
the British
same.
review it.
Yeah, they are about to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So what do you think when you see these major countries? The United States is not going to do it. They were playing around with the TikTok. Not really because they're trying to protect the mind. It's kind of China and the military.
Comes from China.
But protecting your generation because you recognize that a certain kind of cultural orientation is coming off of social media. So you don't want to do it because you're a developing country, but here you have a first world country, Australia, and now UK about to do it. Do you think that that will influence social media use in developing countries?
No, because I think that Pandora's box has been opened. You know the fairy tale of Pandora's box. That is why disease and wickedness and evil and so has come. Because once you open the box and they fly out, you can't get them back in. Because remember now, the technology is advancing so rapidly that look what happened to the stock market in the United States of America 2 weeks ago, like gone down by billions. I think $600 billion they lost. Because they are investing huge amount of monies in this artificial intelligence world that is upon us. And
here comes the Chinese.
One teacher or students in China, they bring out deep seek. Feel like $5 million.
Yes,
The
cheap,
people
cheap,
say
cheap.
billions. And then they come, no, then try to say, boy, maybe they borrow some of we. I look
Sure.
to borrow ideas.
Sure.
So the technology, they say man smarter than man, you know. Anything where you could come up with, you could come up with something better than that.
Yeah.
You see? It's like the rat then. There's no way, like, don't care what kind of trap you make for rat. Soon as you kill some of them, the other one they come and check it out. And so this is the way to deal with that. Don't come to eat the coconut, you fly past and snatch that.
We will find the cheese.
So there is no turning back, Nuri. So that is an unfortunate thing. But since time is against us, allow me to say this. I was hoping we could talk about the general election that is not far.
We still have a minute.
And also about the crisis in the official opposition. I want to hurry say this, I want to say this to my brother Shine Barrow. Man, like I used to read about you in Vibes magazine, in the hip hop magazines, and so many years ago. We met by Douglas Jones Street when Crispin Jeffries was commissioner, introduced me to Shine when he was still a Jew. And he ended up living in my neighborhood that I live in, his neighborhood. He used to go swim every morning right by the park out in Buttonwood Bay, and we end up talking and so on and so. I want to say to you, my brother, that I have looked and I have read and have not come across any bird that is flying around with only one wing. And by that I mean that our system in Belize, the constitutional order of things, there has to be a party in power and a party in opposition, or some parties in opposition. And the opposition has to have brilliant people and be able to expose wrongdoings by the government. The government is not a handful of angels come from heaven. They are human beings like all of us. They make mistakes, they do wrong things. Some of them, they hustle, all kind of things. We need an opposition in Belize. The worst kind of way. You know, fair for Nuri and Jules and Rufus and the union leaders and them to try and step into the shoes of the opposition is paid by our taxes to look at everything the government is doing and to tell us they're not doing the right way. There is a hustling at this and there is an abuse at this. So let me just say this.
I want to know what prevents
I'm finished right now.
Yeah.
I want to humble myself and beg you personally, Shine Barrow, to say to Tracy, to reach out to Tracy. And Tracy, I know you're from the league guy. You live in Albert's way back. You know your mom, know your dad. Like, what is involved in this matter is bigger than on a UDP quarrel. It is bigger than PUP that they rival. This is the country at stake. We're in trouble, man.
Yeah.
The inside of the society is in trouble. We are in trouble. The things we come, we don't have the time for it anymore. We are just like, I watch the amazing Creole people who are the great-grandchildren and slaves, how they have survived, but then the struggle just see things rough out there, and it's going to get worse. Because the world has changed. You got one person who, he don't read nothing, he don't got no attention span. He can't even handle TikTok. He doesn't have time for that. We need an opposition that is functioning. And listen, can I share this with you? Mr. Johnny Briceño, who is not a bourgeoisie, who is a humble person, who has been the Prime Minister of this country and said something when nobody ever said, I'm not interested in a third term. I'm sure his advisors and supporters, when he get close to that, and tell you, please, Johnny, we need you just this last time.
Hold it together, yeah.
But he has said that. But guess what? Johnny Briceño can also be advised that, you know what, you can go down in history. You can go down in history, Johnny, because you could win 31 seats. They could take the enormous resources and focus on the 4.5 seats where the opposition got. 4.25. They got a seat where, how could the people go, you know? They could focus attention on why, if you all go to election divided, the PUP is going to sweep completely. The PUP is in no danger of losing no seat right now, which is a big tribute to Johnny and his team.
It is.
In the 4 years, they have not done enough to make us riled up against them that, boy, we have to get rid of them. Monday, the seal clear. Big respect, Johnny. Big respect, Cordell. Big respect to all of you. But the country needs to have a formal, functioning, effective opposition. Because this business of going to meetings in the House of Representatives once a month, that's not a cut it in of a free country. Look how crime has ballooned out under the last government. 140 odd people get murdered. 130 odd people are being murdered, you know. Nuri, you were actually part of the gun amnesty, the most successful one with Lascelles and Lionel and Darrell and Nacho.
Yes.
Over 100 guns were taken off the street. Yeah. And the Mandala newspaper, which is not as vigilant and is not as, I don't know if the word, it's clearly not ferocious, but it's not the Mandela you and I know. The editorials, they're mild, they're not, because the government is not overdoing yet. But listen, the Mandela newspaper over a year ago offered unsolicited advice in an editorial to say the little housing project that the government is financing is an important matter. You should see the joy to the family if you go in a daily box. This small little house is really, really small, you know. But it better than no house.
No house at all.
So Mandela has said, Mandela is not against you, no that. Mandela has said you are sitting and over 1,000 people in prison. Them man could shovel cement, they could bend steel, they could put up their house.
Absolutely, brother.
At no cost in terms of labor and the government buy material duty free. Yes. We need 1,000 houses every year to deal with this housing crisis, man.
And the reason why Spot is talking about that enormous cost of that building is because you're financing the pay. So,
all right, I'm leaving you, so let me get this in. Let me get this in.
Please.
It won't be long like
that.
Get
it in, brother.
Yes, first of all, I want to big up Justice Antoinette Moore. She is going to leave in a couple months.
Oh, is that right?
We love you, Judge Moore. I want you to know that you have touched our hearts. I remember you making a submission in front of the judge, and she was so attentive to what you said and took it into consideration.
Yes. No. She's a superwoman, man.
Yes, you make her want to retire when you left.
Yes, man, superwoman.
There is no judge with a heart like yours.
Yeah.
You have.
Do you know that she used to talk about pro bono? A lot of them people wrong here, they say about pro. That is a sister that used to take cases pro bono and win.
Yes.
And she was such a humble person, now tighty to walk around with this and long nail and things like. You wouldn't even know she's an attorney.
Pro bono is a Latin word. It means for free.
Maybe for free. For free.
We are going to miss you, I tell you, man. Please, I don't know if there's any way you can stay at least another 2 years, man. And then big respect to the new Belizean Chief Magistrate. There's a young lady from up north.
Yes.
She's one of us. They have the name of the great Lindy Rogers.
Yes.
So, Miss Deborah Rogers, congratulations on breaking that Gaza situation. We now have a Belizean Chief Magistrate. She has a master's degree, you know.
Yes.
These are people who serve their country, man. Every day then they in a court, they listen to a lot of bull.
Yeah.
Speaking of masters, one of my colleagues, Lyndon Jones, an attorney, has 2 master's degrees, has a doctorate. Yes, and the other day he was introducing me because 3 Trinidad lawyers have come here to assist a person in sensational triple murder or quadruple murder. So let me just welcome them, Nehanda Samuels, Peter Taylor, and Eustace Warner, all the way from Trinidad. Maybe you could have them in one morning.
Yeah. I was thinking of trying to get this around Logan, but one of the appellants, Brother Jerry Enriquez, will join us tomorrow to talk about the case.
Excellent. Make a point about that though.
Yeah.
They can tell you the Prime Minister will not announce the thing in the House Friday. I don't mean say he can announce it Saturday. Who said you have to announce it in the House?
Exactly.
But elections are going to come, the PUP going to win, they will win big. That is just a fact of life here. So I wanted to say that about Justice Moore, that I will travel all the way to Dangriga and I will personally ask permission to go into her court or her chambers and tell her on behalf of all of us who have had the wonderful privilege of meeting you, of seeing you sat and listen to all these boring cases, which is the procedure in the courts, and to make the best decision, and we are all satisfied that you have handed down justice in your court. And she was a great advocate for the Mayas when they were fighting for their
She was one of the main advocates, absolutely. This is a phenomenal woman, but you know, again, in Belize, I said it many years ago, we know tip and we know clap. No, we got a Chetomalan tip, but with we know tip. We know encourage you. And we know clap.
We don't have money for tip.
We don't clap. We don't clap. We used to watch Sting Grab, the Bliss Institute. Now we do it. But I recognize a long time ago, we restrain from telling you you're doing a great job.
Yeah, we can't
say,
thank people. And,
you're doing a great job, Ms. Moore. We appreciated you, and not just with accolades, but genuinely care for you. She's a real
sister. In another society, she would make millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
Book all kind of book deals and so on. You are a one of a kind. You're a fabulous human being.
Yes.
And we are proud that you have come.
We don't have enough time, but here's what I was going. We got to get out of here. But in 1993. The opposition, UDP, was also split.
Not like this.
Why? It wasn't
not like this.
Because this one now an ego thing. That one was a policy thing.
The split is not this.
But why?
Mr. Golson, big respect to Golson. Golson walked out of UDP.
Yes.
Supported by Derek Aikman, Hubert Elrington, Sam Rayburn, and Pantin.
Yes.
Because the UDP was hell-bent on following America and Britain. That we are going to allow Guatemala free access into a big chunk of our sea.
Yes. So it was a principle, it was a policy of the division. This one here doesn't appear to be policy.
Personality.
It's a lot of ego clashing, right? Yeah. But I wondered whether or not, the thing, if you remember, that brought the UDP back together very solid.
The announcement of the election?
No, the announcement of the election, but the announcement of the British timing, saying that they left.
But that was after the election was announced.
But Mr. Golson built on that because our fear was still with Guatemala. Go back and look at it, because I did.
I was there.
And that man, he really, at that period of time, did something that was unusual. It wasn't Esquivel as much as it was Mr. Golson deciding to bring back the NABR into the UDP, and they won the election as though it was slim. So the question is there anything on the horizon, maybe Trump, that can create a scenario that can speedily bring the opposition together to maybe win more than 2 or 3 seats? Nothing. Nothing that can, not even coming from Mr. Trump.
Personality conflicts are the worst kind.
It's an ego.
It's an ego. I don't think it's ego.
Well, what about those who are saying, shine, stand down, your age, you still have time, and then give history a chance for a woman for the first time to be in a position to become a prime minister? You think his ego can handle that?
But they not win. So that no hold water. If the party may win, you could say what Tony Blair and Gordon did in the UK.
Right.
Tony Blair was extremely popular.
Yes.
Win the first one, gone for the second one, getting ready to go to the tournament. May you have an agreement, my boy? You going in, and then after you, I going in, and Blair decided, boy, I don't give this up right now, man. Turn out to be a war criminal, you know, Tony Blair.
Anyway.
No, but personality.
That's the problem.
When you start to talk about me and I talk about you, and it gets worse, and so if they could have been fighting me and throw blows. It's there's no.
But somebody needs to back down, and I'm not sure.
Well, let me say this, Nuri. Thanks for bringing that up. In other democracies, right here in Jamaica, in the UK, all over the world, and so, the parties have, like say, we still have Dean Barrow with us. We don't have Dean Lindo, we don't have Esquivel, but we have Dean Barrow. Dean Barrow, the brains, you know. Yeah, big respect, Dean, the brains. And a man who read a lot, you have to read. Let's get that in our head.
Man.
They don't have anyone who they could sit with, who they respect and are prepared to be advised.
No elders then.
There are no elders in that.
Wow.
These are like, you ever watch how they
Yeah, no.
when they want to got a hand, how they
Yeah.
They must say they take some straight kind of buffering, what the thing there. But that is our problem here. We don't have nobody who could say. And by the way, you know, I'm very disappointed. The media is pretending that there's not a problem. You can't have a country without an opposition, man. This is a very serious destruction at the worst time.
Yeah.
Why? Because America is admitting that inflation is a big issue. We know what inflation means.
Yes.
It means
Everything
we can't
going
buy
up.
things.
Everything going up.
We should actually, in fact, with election imminent, a draft manifesto should be circulated so we know what the new government will be focused attention on. We must have backyard gardening. We must start to eat what we grow and grow what we eat.
Which takes you to the PCC.
Oh man, that's a peeve. You're good, you know, Nuri. That's why you are the icon.
That's the last point here, man. The PCC promises us that all the things we've been complaining about for the last 20 years since the reform recommendations came from Dylan Vernon, that we're going to finally fix this. You were a part of it early, you're no longer there.
Yeah.
I've spoke to the chairman who told me that in fact they have been making some presentations, but they're still not coming to the media and saying this is what we came up with. So now we're going to go into this coming election without no redistricting, no recommendations from this PCC so that we could have a referendum to accept
some commitment from the...
Nothing is there. Nothing is there. So last comment, sir, on the PCC.
Why are they that to me? Well, the PCC is a force that is spent.
Oh, wow.
That is water under the bridge,
no wind in the sail?
No. Yeah. At least you could make a, you know, I don't know if your camera could pick that up. They're not fighting any kind of wave and whatnot, but they have succeeded in getting some wind in the sail. If there's no wind in the sail, then stay right in the water. You know? No, we have lost. There is. Let me end like this. I'm trying not to say anything more, because you just make enemies, which no mean at this stage in my life it means nothing to me. God has been good to me.
Precisely.
Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus.
Yes, sir.
I would say that, you know, more important, elections come and go. You know? But I would say that we believe, I don't know if you blame the media or blame the university, blame all of us who get the education and have not done enough, but improving your constitution is part of the core of having a good society. The reason why one could try fight for redistricting is because the constitution says each constituency should be about roughly equal. Because the constitution says it. So this was a golden, platinum, uranium opportunity for a poor, backward, confused society to have made some major improvements as to how we are governed, how we are protect the money and the land. We have nothing except our taxes and our land. This was an opportunity lost. There's a poem, took me years to read it, and Paradise Lost by John Milton. That's where we are. So Nuri, thank you very much for inviting me. There are so many things we could cover, but
Yeah,
life
certainly,
is real.
certainly,
Life
certainly.
is real, and time is
Is
always
always
tight.
there, yeah.
In your time, they had a song, "Time is tight," no?
We thank you very much, my brother. And the thing is, can we call him a serial guest? Like that?
No, that's serial word or funny word, no? Regularize Regularize
So, the crazy people have taken over serial. So,
yeah.
no, we appreciate your being here,
Anytime.
my brother. And I also want to thank you. We've invited Brother Dickey, because he's a reality talker and reasoner, to come and reason with these brothers that we're working with. And he has never neglected the opportunity to come and to speak with those youths at the base. So it's not just what is being done by myself and Footy, but we also have help that comes from brothers like Brother Dickey, Bradley, and others. So we thank you, brother, for the work that you do in the courts, in the community, and just as being a voice of reason in the community. Thank you. We'll take our last break. We'll come back and we'll be gone.
I'm Randolph Friesen and I manage Westville Produce.
All right, we've come to the end. We want to thank the crew from the Morning Stew for giving us this extra time. It was important, and we appreciate very much them doing that. We want to thank Attorney Sharon Williams. Professor Williams, thank you for your time. And of course, our own local professor, likewise, because he does teach in the colleges and teaches constitutional law, our brother Dickie Bradley, attorney at law, Richard Dickie Bradley. Thank you very much for being here, brother. And thank you for being with us. As we said, tomorrow we'll be looking at this new approach being taken to once again tell the government that there must be redistricting before election is called. And as my brother here slipped out, that it doesn't necessarily have to be called in the House, as it normally is. It can be called on the Saturday. So elections may still very well be a month away or a little bit more than a month away. And so tomorrow's conversation with Mr. Enriquez is to look at that. I don't know whether or not he will bring the attorney Ram Logan with him. He will be welcome, and we could draw out a little bit more. But be with us tomorrow, and we will be talking to our brother Jerry Enriquez, inshallah. So we thank Joe Guerrero downstairs. We thank Miss Belaid upstairs. We thank Mr. Clifton Lewis, who is always the person putting it together. We thank you for being with us. And we didn't take much calls today, but we certainly will open the phone lines for you if you want to call tomorrow. Belizeans, stand strong and stand firm. Do the right thing under all conditions. For now, we're gone!